I just have one very important question of everyone. This will be a show of hands. How many had their tire light come on yesterday in the cold? Oh, come on, it had to be more than that. Everyone's tire light comes on in the cold. Just kidding. Now that I have your attention, I'm going to turn it over to welcome. Greetings tonight to one of our co-chairs, Jean Howard and Johnson. I think everyone in this room knows her, and she's just going to probably kill me for this. This wouldn't happen if it weren't for her. We on the committee all have our own special little thing that we do, but when you have to point to one person that does it all, it's Jean, and she's going to come and cut me off, but this may very well be her last year. So please, a round of applause for Jean Johnson. She's a sneaky one.
Well, I just want to say good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jean Howard Johnson. Many of you know me as Jean Howard. It's Johnson now. As one of the co-chairs of the Peabody High School Athletic Hall of Fame, it's my honor to welcome the class of 2018. Their family, their friends, and distinguished guests to this evening's festivities. The Hall was founded on the belief that the quality athletes, coaches, and supporters of Tanner Athletics deserve to be recognized. And while I'll let our MC, Jane Kyle, expound on the talent of the incoming class, I did want to say how excited we are to honor you, not only for your athleticism, but for the pride that you brought to the community, both on and off the field. You are truly exceptional. We've got a lot on tap, so I'll take a couple of minutes to recognize and thank some of the people who, without their ongoing support, we would not be able to do what we do. First, I'd like to recognize and thank our elected officials and school personnel, the Honorable Ted Betancourt, the Superintendent of Schools, Kara Murtag, Principal Eric Buckley, and Athletic Director Bob Brewer. We certainly appreciate all of their support. And I'd also like to recognize all of the current Hall of Famers who are here today. And if you would, please stand. All of them. All of them. In particular, Arthur Reeves, who just passed away this week. We should just bow your heads for a second for him. And then next, I'd like to thank all the sponsors listed in our program book. There's a lot of them, so please bear with me, but these people have been so generous to us over many, many years, and they allow us to have such an exceptional banquet. So I want to thank John Blodgett, Mayor Betancourt, Champions Pub, Salotus Plumbing, Coolest Wealth Management, Red's Kitchen, Ed's Service Station, Holden Oil, Conway Kale Brewer, Tim Murphy, PJ Woods, GTD Speed and Conditioning, the Rotary Club, Gomes Brothers Construction, the Peabody Police Benevolent Association, Stalker Oil, Sackle Mechanical, D&H Construction, the North Shore Bank, Luso American Credit Union, Ed's Service Station, and Harrington Trophy. Again, they really come and support us year after year, so I hope that you can support these organizations throughout the year. Another quick shout out to the football team and the coach Coach Mark Betancourt. It was a very nice touch to have the football players form the tunnel for the inductees to walk out onto the field yesterday. And we really appreciate that he would take time from his pregame speech to honor the athletes. So I wanted to say thank you to Mark. Also, we have Peabody cable access here tonight in the newspaper, so we get a lot of media coverage for this, and we really appreciate it. And then lastly, before we begin our dinner, I just want to take a minute to thank a group of individuals who worked very hard over this last year and a half to make this all happen. It truly is a group effort. From researching individuals, preparing biographies, making field preparations, and ensuring that both game day and tonight's festivities run smoothly. And I would ask the committee members to stand as I call their names. Kay Ellen DeMore, Jean DePlacido, Bonnie Gallant, Jane Kyle, Kathy Strange, Nina Braz, Gary Boer, Bob Danish, George Goulis, John Goulis, John Kedros, Gary Linehan, Andy Metropolis, Phil Sheridan, and Matt Williams. And I will tell you that I have played on a lot of great teams in my day. But this is one of the teams that I am most proud of. Never a thing about me. As a chairman, as a group, we have chosen a new chairman for the 2020 class. And I want to recognize Phil Sheridan. He's worked tirelessly on this committee. Has worked tirelessly. He, I think 1998 is one, so for over 20 years. And I know that there'll be no problems going forward with Phil at the helm. So thank you, Phil, and it'll be great. So at this time, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I'd just like to take a minute to give thanks for the nourishment that we're going to receive, the meal. And I hope that we all have continued health and happiness. So if you want to buy one for a second. And with that, just please enjoy your meal, and then the Master of Ceremonies, Jane Kyle, will be back to start our program. Thank
you. And the press box at the football stadium has now been, as it should be, named after Lou Sososimo. Lou, could you stand up? Thank you, Lou. Our first inductee into the class of 2018 is William A. Connolly, class of 1950, deceased.
With me right now is Jeff Connolly, and Jeff, he's representing his father who has passed away. And Jeff, I know it's a tough thing to try and come in before people and talk about your father, but he was a great guy.
Yeah, thank you. He would be thrilled about tonight's event, and we're really honored, my family and I, that he's finally getting recognized for his athletic accomplishments. So it should be a fun night.
Now, what do you remember him, about the most? Not so much his accomplishments, but maybe everything in life.
Yeah, well, one thing that he was a hard worker, honest guy, and very humble, and I like that. He was very humility was a big part of his life, and like I said, he was quite an athlete at Peabody High. He played all three sports, football, hockey, and baseball, and he was an all-star in all three, so I know he was pretty proud of that accomplishment.
Right, and I know that you couldn't see him because you were probably too young, but knowing the Connolly family and how they always love sports, what do you remember him being known for the most?
Yeah, well, he loved all sports. In fact, I played football in high school and college, and I remember he never missed a game of mine, so that was really nice that he continued his love of sports and family.
Receiving on his behalf tonight is his son, Jeff Connolly. Presenting the plaque will be John Goulis.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Connolly, and I'm William's son. I would like to start by congratulating the other inductees. My family and I would like to thank the Hall of Fame Committee for bestowing this honor on my father, William. I would especially like to thank committee members John Goulis, Andy Metropolis, Gene Johnson, and Kathy Strange for their assistance and support during the process. While my parents moved to Beverly when they got married, my father was proud of his Peabody roots and stayed in touch with Tanner teammates. My grandparents and my aunt, who was here tonight, regularly attended my father's games, and I fondly remember them and my father reminiscing about his days as an athlete at Peabody High. My father was very humble. I knew he was a good athlete since he played 3 sports, but it wasn't until I started going through his scrapbooks that I learned of his accomplishments and the recognition he received. Although he isn't here in person tonight, we know he is here in spirit and smiling down on tonight's festivities. Thank you again on behalf of my father.
Thank you, Jeff. Our next inductee is a rare athlete, participated in all 3 seasons in track and was outstanding in all 3 seasons. Captain of the outdoor team. He has set many records during his days as a track star. He was an MVP, an All-Star, and a Ganis Foundation Scholarship recipient. Please understand that if I miss something in the book, that's why you have the book. We wouldn't want to miss anything that these wonderful athletes did. Charlie Spurr, class of 1970. His plaque is presented by John Kentford.
Charlie, it's great to have you here, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about tonight. What does tonight mean to you?
Well, it's great to be recognized, and I especially appreciate it because it gives me a chance to tell my old coach how much he meant to me and how much the experience meant to me.
Right. Now, you excelled in track, and maybe a little bit about track, what you didn't do and what you did do.
Okay, well, I did a lot of different things at different times with the team. Mostly I was a hurdler and a discus thrower, and I always thought that I would like to try the decathlon at some point, but I never got beyond the point of thinking about doing the pole vault and hanging upside down from this little thin pole, so I never tried the decathlon. But I did shot put, I ran relays, I did the 400 and even the 800 one time, but primarily I was a hurdler.
Peabody probably doesn't get all the press that it deserves for track, but they've had some great track teams.
Well, they have, yeah. Yeah, the program that Coach Smyrnius put together was just great, and he really got the most out of the kids that were in the program, and he's a credit to the community.
Yeah. And how about the future? What are you going to be doing now? I'm sure you're not retired yet.
No, I'm not quite retired yet. I'm still working, but we may move down to Connecticut to be closer to the grandchildren. We're not quite sure yet, but I've got a couple more years that I'll be working before we move.
Is there anything you remember in track or any sport that really reflects on your life right now?
Well, it taught me to never give up and to always put forth your best effort, even when things didn't look good. I mean, there was one race that I remember in the hurdles where out of the blocks I hit the first hurdle, almost turned my ankle and stumbled, but I was able to keep my stride and get over that next hurdle, and I ended up catching the guy to win the race. And that always stuck with me, that even when things start to go wrong, you should never give up. Hello. I want to start by thanking the committee for selecting me, and to thank Coach Smyrnius and his wife and all of the coaching staff back in the day. They made a big impact on my life. You can't tell from looking at me today, but back in the day I was a skinny, tall geek and with really low self-confidence. And I'd always liked sports growing up. And when I got to junior high school, 9th grade, I decided I'd try out for the football team, which went pretty well. But one day in practice, we were having blocking practice, and I missed the dummy, fell on my shoulder, broke my collarbone. And that set me back for that season. And then in sophomore year at the high school, I decided to go out again. And that year, I almost broke my nose because of the loose helmet I was wearing. And then later in a preseason game, I broke my finger, I was out this way. And they taped them together for quite a while, and the rumor around school was that I had webbed fingers. So from then on, I was known as the guy with the webbed fingers. So I took from that someone was trying to send me a message that maybe football wasn't the sport I should pursue. So I tried out for cross country, which started my track career. And I really found my athletic home. Coach Smyrnius and his crew just had a very welcoming, open environment, very supportive. And it really helped me a lot because I was very shy at the time, and teenage years are tough as it is. But I'll always remember that. It made a big impact on my life, and love him to this day. Thank you.
Still humble. Thank you, Charlie. I'd like to recognize our esteemed football coach who has entered the hall, Mark Betancourt, and thank him for the tribute that you helped us to put together yesterday. We appreciate the team lining up. It means a great deal to the inductees, and I'm sure to your players as well. Thank you, Mark. Our next inductee is Paul Tengberg, class of 1974, deceased. We've just been in very minimal contact with his daughter, who was thrilled to know the news but unable to be with us here tonight. Paul was captain of the football team. He was a Boston Globe All-Scholastic. He was an All-Star. You're going to hear that word a lot tonight, All-Star, MVP, All-Scholastic. It's pretty impressive. Presenting to and receiving for Paul Tengberg, Coach Bob Danish.
Thank you, Jane. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the new inductees to our honored group. And I'd also like to say it's great to see all our former inductees to come here. I always call this a 2-year reunion for the athletic family of Peabody, and it's great to see everybody here, so thanks for coming. Unfortunately, Paul is not with us anymore. He passed away at way too early of an age. In 1973, I was a rookie coach in Peabody. Arthur Adamopoulos was the head coach. I was very fortunate to coach a team that went 7-1-1. We lost to Saugus on Thanksgiving, unfortunately. But I had a tackle and an end who were two of the best blockers. And anybody who coached football knows a double team is very important to a running game, which Arthur Adamopoulos believed in. And I never saw or had a tandem as good as Paul Tengberg at tackle and Matt Function at end. Matty Function went on to play at BC on a full scholarship, and Paul was just an impressive person. He wasn't a huge person, but he could block, and he was aggressive, and he was tough. I was proud that he went on to my alma mater at UNH, played football up there, and he played for the legendary coach Bill Bowes, who was one of my assistant coaches when I was up there, when I played. And he had a great career, and he was a kid that really worked hard, and he was one of the typical hard-nosed Peabody football players. So I'm very proud to accept and present at the same time for Paul, and I accept it with Tanner pride. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Bob. Our next inductee, Gary Ruddock, class of 1974, a standout player on the hockey team, skater, and on the soccer field. Also a captain, again, an all-star, an MVP, and a great representative of Peabody High School athletics. Presenting his plaque will be George Goulis.
With me now is Gary Rennick. Gary, maybe some of the sports that you excelled in, and I know hockey was one of your greatest.
Yes, it was. My favorite sport. Soccer was my second. But hockey, I loved it. I played and protect the goalie was my priority. Then hitting people was secondary. Oh, yes. I loved it. I loved hitting, being physical.
Now, was there any one great play that you remember making, or any championship team that you really enjoyed?
It was, we used to play Malden Catholic, and we'd always lose, year after year. And there was this game, I was a senior, it was 1974. We were playing at Lynn Arena, and they were ahead by a couple, but I had a wrist shot from in front of the net, our net, all the way across two blue lines, and it arced, and it went right in the net. And the goalie's like, and everybody's just laughing and laughing. And we scored, and we won the game. So that was fantastic, beating them. But on the other note, being in the playoffs, my senior year, we went to Boston Garden, we went to the Boston Arena. I mean, that was a fantastic experience. I mean, it was. Being in the Garden, even though they threw stuff at me, they threw stuff. Every time I hit one of their players, and, they throw stuff on the ice. And it was just South Boston was tough.
How about now? What are you doing now, and what do you remember the most about now?
I'm retired. I remember most the teams, the players. If we weren't close, we couldn't work together. So we had a lot of discipline, especially the senior year. A good group of players, and I was co-captain, and I was so proud.
Any coaches or players that you remember real close?
George Connolly sticks out. He taught me more discipline. I knew everything when he came, and it was discipline. And he put the team together. We had a big caliber, team. It was the best we've had in years, except for the next year. I think they won it. But George Connolly, all the youth hockey coaches, to prepare me for the high school team, and that was a great time.
And what are you doing now?
I'm retired, living in New Hampshire, southern New Hampshire, and looking for another home up in the mountains. So I'm an outdoors guy. So I'm busy with the dogs all the time, and it's a relaxed life.
Okay, I want to thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoy this evening, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank George especially for getting me here. My family, my mother and father, they woke up at 5 in the morning to drive me to the games, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock. It was a great career. I loved it. I loved the people I played with, the team, the 74 team. We went almost all the way. We did the Garden and played Southie, and we didn't prevail, but it was a tough game, and we were worthy of that game. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope I'm on the right page here. Our next inductee, Gary Hayward, class of 1977, three-sport standout athlete, excelled on the soccer field, the baseball diamond,
and in between those seasons did some little track. He was named to numerous all-star teams, including the Greater Boston League twice, and Athlete of the Year. I haven't gone on to post Peabody High accomplishments because you all have the book. I don't mean to skip over those. We're very proud of you that you carry Peabody pride into your endeavors after high school. Gary's plaque is being presented by John Goulas.
Gary Hayward. Now, Gary, I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight, and it's a great night for you. But maybe go over what sports did you play, and what sport did you like the best?
I played 3 sports in high school. I was fortunate enough to be the co-captain of the soccer team. I ran indoor track, and I was also co-captain of the baseball team. And baseball was always my passion, so to speak. So,
right. And from Peabody, baseball was really their #1 sport, really.
Yeah, baseball was big at that point in time, and I had some great people ahead of me and some great people behind me, and it was just a matter of making sure I didn't drop the torch as they went through. As I went through my years. So,
is there any one moment in any sport that you remember that brings back memories?
You know, I'll be very honest with you. I don't particularly remember a specific incident at all, but I do remember all the athletes that I played with, and that was the biggest part of my career. Is to make, I made a lot of friends throughout sports, and it was just a good time. And unfortunately, folks, my speech is a little longer than the first couple. But before I get into my thank yous and all the people affiliated with my athletic accomplishments at Peabody High, I'd like to tell you a quick story. And I don't know if my fellow inductees felt the same way, but I'll tell you exactly my mindset when finding out about being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I received a letter stating that I was being inducted into the Hall of Fame and basically felt a sense of excitement and honor. I realized my name would be affiliated with some of the greatest athletes the city had to offer, along with people I looked up to as my career progressed. Then the second letter came, telling us about the ceremonies, what the ceremonies entailed. And a sense of panic set in, and your mind starts to wander. I've been a police officer for 30 years and currently am the captain of the Topsfield Police. One of my functions as I rose through the ranks was that of a detective sergeant. During this time, I was involved in over 100 search warrants, many of which were for some bad people, and I had to plan operations. I would always plan for the worst, hope for the best, and constantly think of the unexpected happening. So as I'm reading the letter, I get to the first part, being introduced on the field before the Thanksgiving game. We had to walk on the field in front of everybody. Now I'm thinking, what if I trip, or worse? What if this is a practical joke? And as I'm standing on the field, a practical joke, and as I'm standing on the field and look out, I see the class of 1977 football defensive team standing there with Eddie Arsenault and Richie LeBlanc, Buddy Yo, and Rick Bianco, staring at me. Somebody hands me a football and they start charging. I'm thinking that would not be good. But I looked at the part and said that said we would be accompanied by the cheerleaders, and quite honestly, I thought that would be great. After all, I played 3 sports in my high school career, and that didn't have cheerleaders: baseball, soccer, and track. But the weather yesterday put an end to that, so that was short-lived. Next, they said we'd have an interview on cable TV. Now, I've done interviews in my present job, and I really wasn't too concerned about it, but of course I started to think about some of the interviews that I've done and how they can go from bad to worse in a matter of seconds. And finally, the part which said you'd have to be given a 2 to 3 minute speech. And I could feel myself starting to sweat. You know, what could possibly go wrong with that, right? So I decided I had 2 goals. One was not to fall going up to the podium, which I accomplished. And 2 was not to pass out during the speech, because you know if you do, that's going to go viral before you hit the floor. And you're going to be known throughout the internet world as that guy. So then I thought, wait, I'd get to talk for 2 to 3 minutes about the old days playing sports without being interrupted. Not a big deal to most, but if I could share briefly what happens when I start to talk about these things with my family, you understand better. We'll be driving through Peabody and would pass by places I would bring back a memory. I would say things like, Dirkie Gaddy lived there, or Paul Slavin grew up there. Or I'd see another person and say, hey, there's Johnny Goulis, or that's Phil Mitchell's place, and start to tell a story. And I'd be stopped dead in my tracks, and my wife and daughter would go, we don't know them. So, in turn, I explained who they were, and by the time I finished explaining, I forgot the story I was going to say. And to this day, I still think that they're doing it to toy with my mind, but that's okay. I deserve it. I also thought that this is going to be great because my daughter, Emma, who thankfully got her looks, intelligence, and caring nature from my wife, Laurie, but regretfully got her father's sense of humor, has been known to heckle me regarding being an athlete. Things like, Dad, baseball wasn't even invented when you were young, or you weren't tall enough to play sports. You know, this wouldn't occur when I was doing my speech. By the way, it's just a tip of the cap to the Peabody High's history department for not correcting that. But, so now, without being interrupted or heckled, I'd like to talk a little bit about my experiences. I'd like to thank the coaches that I played for. Coach Sapienza and Coach Niz in baseball, Coach Simon in soccer, and Coach Samernius and Coach Mackler in track, as well as those coaches from outside of Peabody High that had an impact on my career, such as Coach Smuzz, Coach Hart, and Billy Linehan. Not only did you help me with my development as an athlete, but you instilled a sense of discipline and self-confidence, along with the importance of hard work and teamwork. All traits that have stuck with me through my life. I was proud to be co-captain of soccer with Kenny Kosher and Manny Atay, 2 great athletes and guys that made me look good on the field. My job was to get them the ball so they could put it in the net, and that was easy enough. I attribute my speed and running to my unique sense of humor and sarcasm, and the fact of having 2 older brothers who didn't appreciate being the brunt of that. I call it a survival of the fittest, as they would chase after me. But truth be told, if they were only a little faster, I might have a greater time in sprints. I ran indoor track, the 300, and had the opportunity to be teammates, a teammate of such greats as Scotty O'Brien and Kevin Sharkey, as watching some of the upper class greats such as Coach Sheridan, Phil Sheridan, Eddie Colhonen, and of course Dave McClain, guys that I looked up to. But my passion was baseball. I co-captained the team with Paul Killamonis. Paul was one of the best baseball players I had the opportunity to play alongside of. My senior year was special with us making it to the state tournament, and I'll always remember those guys. I will always be grateful to the opportunities that sports has afforded me. I don't remember a lot of the games in particular, but I do recall and cherish as the first time I put on that Peabody High uniform, knowing that I would be representing my classmates in Peabody High, as well as those players that came before me and I looked up to, and giving those who followed a sense of pride going forward. I remember looking up in the stands and seeing my family members watching, they're watching the games. They were there through thick or thin. And most of all, I remember the great men and women that I had the pleasure of playing sports with. Because to me, it wasn't about the personal accomplishments or accolades. It was about the friendships I formed. I may not see everyone all the time, but I'm still blessed to call them friends. Thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for feeling that my accomplishments are worthy of this honor. It's humbling. And last but not least, thank you to my wife, Laurie, and my daughter, Emma. Hopefully I made you proud. I wouldn't want to share this with anybody else but you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Small confession here. You know, parents aren't supposed to have favorites, but Scott Wlasuk has always been one of my favorites, from when I was a phys ed teacher to a coach in the building, just knowing him as a person and remembering his dad. Scott Wlasuk, class of 1979, was an outstanding football and lacrosse player and ran some track as well. Again, as football all-star, came back to coach for many years at Peabody High School and is still to this day serving his community. Scott Wlasuk, presented by Gene DePlacido.
With us right now is Scott Wlasuk. And Scott, congratulations on your honor to be in the Hall of Fame, and you really deserved it, because I remember you on football, and you were just a great defensive player that I remember.
Thank you very much, Lou. Much appreciated, and it is an incredible honor. I don't think it's really set in yet. I think later on tonight, as we get going with the ceremony, it'll really begin to sink in.
And how about the other sports you played also?
Well, I played, as you know, football. I did 3 years of indoor track, and I also played for Coach Bob Danish, lacrosse. I played baseball my sophomore year, and then switched to lacrosse my junior year, and played both seasons, junior and senior seasons, and went on to college and played college football and college lacrosse.
I know there was many defensive plays that you were in. What is the most important part of the whole game that you remember the most?
For me, it was to the coaches, Coach Danish, Coach Arthur Adamopoulos. They taught us to play hard every play, to play, give 100% effort on every single play, never take a play off. But I think equally important, they taught us how to respect the game, respect our opponents, and play the game the right way.
Right. And I really know what you're doing now, but maybe for the people out there, I know you're a lieutenant in the Peabody Police Department, and I don't know if you've reached captain yet, but you're on the way.
Yeah, actually, Lou, I did. I was fortunate to be promoted to captain 4 years ago this October, actually. I started my 30th year full-time with the Peabody Police Department on September 11th of all days. And I currently am the commander of the Criminal Investigation Division for the department.
Okay, and I'm sure you have a wife and children, because I remember calling the games for your children also.
Yep, my lovely wife, my high school sweetheart, Dorothy, she's with us today. And she was one of my biggest fans during my playing days in high school and college, and was very supportive and very tolerant of the many years of that she had to endure with me coaching high school football. I got to coach both my sons in high school. Sean, who's 24 now and a police officer in Kensington, New Hampshire, and Cody, who's 22, who graduated last spring and is working for a company up off Route 128. And they went on and had excellent careers at Framingham State University, and got to play 2 years there together.
Okay, I want to thank you very much. Good luck, Scott, and we'll see you on the beat.
Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Coach Heil. I'm speechless over those compliments. I really thank you so much. Captain Hayward, we shared some moments at the Topsfield Fair talking about how our speeches will go and about the 3-minute time limit and everything. And I think I missed some of the conversation on that, because you exceeded a little more time than mine. But I think you set me up, and you were paying my detailed money, so I couldn't really say anything to that. But great job, Gary. Gary and I go back to the old Peabody youth football days, the Ward 2 Panthers, and we actually were in the backfield together, so he was much better than I were that day, or that point in time. When I was told there was a 3-minute time limit on our speeches, I felt obligated to warn you all to prepare for perhaps the longest 3 minutes of your life, but this is going to be considerably shorter. I want to start by thanking the selection committee for recognizing me for what is truly a great accomplishment in my life. I also want to recognize my family, who I am so grateful to have with me to share this special moment, and thank them for their love and support. My only regret is not having my mom and dad and our very close friend and neighbor Lenny here to share the moment with us. Sean and Cody, words can't explain how proud I am of you and the outstanding careers that you both had at Peabody High School as Peabody High Tanners, and the outstanding careers you went on to have as Framingham State University Rams. And Dorothy, what can I say? You've been so supportive, understanding, and I put this all in big, bold letters, tolerant, throughout my playing days in high school and college, and my long coaching career. I thank you. My cousin Reggie, who's been the glue of our family over the years, and was the inspiration that led me to pursue a career in law enforcement. I love you, Reg. My dear father-in-law, who's been with me throughout this whole journey. The night I received my induction letter, I saw the return address on the front of the envelope, and I thought, oh, someone's getting into the Hall of Fame, and they must be looking for a recommendation. I almost put it aside to address it later, but I decided to open it. Needless to say, I was a bit overcome with emotion when I opened the letter and saw that the person getting inducted into the Hall of Fame was actually me. What made that moment so special was Sean and Cody just happened to come into the room a short time after and got to share that very special moment with me. As I reflected on how I came to be chosen for such an honor, I realized that I may not possess some distinctions of other inductees, such as record-setting performances, league MVP, and all scholastic honors, and Player of the Year awards, to name a few. I also realized that perhaps I was being recognized for the way I was taught and coached to approach each practice, game, or event, embracing qualities such as hard work, determination, desire, dedication, sacrifice, respect, and teamwork. These qualities were instilled in me by some very special role models and mentors in my life. In particular, Coach Arthur Adamopoulos, Coach Bob Danish, who I knew from the early 70s back in the Wallace School gym days, Coach Joe Cronin, Coach Mike Schur, and Coach Bob Gibley, who I had when I was a Higgins Hellion many, many years ago. These mentors taught me, as a Peabody High School Tanner and Higgins Hellion, the true meaning, importance, and value of such qualities, both on and off the field. And this has formed the foundation for nearly everything I've done in my life. They also taught me that your experience as a student athlete and the lessons learned from this will have much more value in life than any wins or losses, league championships, or state titles. How true they were. In my nearly 28 years of coaching high school football, I've tried to instill these qualities and values into the student athletes that I've had the privilege to coach. I owe so much to those mentors, especially you, Coach Danish. I've known you almost my whole life. Coach Gibley wrote something in my 1975 Higgins yearbook that has been a great meaning to me over the years. The message essentially went like this: no matter what you do in life, if at the end of the day you can look yourself in the mirror and say you gave 100% effort, then that is all you can ask of yourself. And with this, you'll be successful. Finally, in closing, being a Peabody High School Tanner taught me to work hard to be better today than you were yesterday, and be better tomorrow than you were today. Now, as an official member of the Peabody High School Athletic Hall of Fame, I feel I am better today than I was yesterday, and I will carry this honor with me for the rest of my life to be better tomorrow than I am today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott. I'm still very good friends with Bob Jubilee, and I'll make sure that he knows that you spoke highly of him. And not to hurt your feelings, but here come a whole bunch more of my favorites. In fact, that room is full of them. Pat Conrad, class of 1990. See, it's this microphone. You gotta stop playing on the microphone. That's good. I made you younger, Pat. Class of 1980. 3-year varsity baseball player as a captain. Greater Boston League batting champion. Had game-winning hits. Is on numerous all-star teams. Was a football shutdown cornerback on a 1979 football team that went 9-1. Patrick, I'm very proud of you. Your plaque is being presented tonight by Fernando.
With me now is Pat Conrad, and Pat, a little bit about tonight. What do you remember? I know you've been through a lot, but how about bringing back some things for tonight?
Well, good evening, Lou. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a very humbling experience. So many people have come before into this Hall of Fame with so much ability and talent, and it's just a pleasure to join them tonight.
All right, and maybe some of the sports you played, and football was number one probably.
Well, baseball was always my number one sport, Lou, but football actually turned out to be my best experience, I'd say, in high school. We had a nice year. We went 9-1. I got to watch Bruce McGregor and Demo Drugas run the ball all over the field. We had a nice season, and Thanksgiving Day was probably the most memorable, effect of that night, that season, I should say. It was a big game, and you win that. Turkey tastes a lot better on Thanksgiving that day, So.
Well, how about baseball now? You must remember a good baseball game if that was your favorite sport.
We had, unfortunately, we didn't have the success I would have liked on the baseball field. We were a little above 500, but we had a lot of talent on the team, and I hit .515 my senior year. It was pretty incredible, really. That's like Little League stuff, but hits were falling left and right easily for some reason, and it was a nice season. I competed with TJ Andre pretty much for the whole year. We went back and forth on the average deal, but it was nice to wrap it up at the end.
How about now in your career, a little bit about what you're doing?
Well, I'm in my 32nd year at the Peabody Police Department, and I've worked in patrol primarily my whole career. I worked 6 years in the schools, which was a good experience for me. I got to work with a lot of people that I looked up to as mentors when I was going through the system. So to work with them was an enjoyable experience. But it was definitely good times.
Now, in your sporting events, is there any one game or any one sport brings back good memories?
Well, again, I mentioned the Thanksgiving Day game. In baseball, I had a couple good games, a couple 5-for-5 games, which were memorable. But again, I think that was an individual accomplishment. The team aspect of it has always been important to me, and I think that's what football provided for me for that year.
How about coaches?
Coaches, well, I played for the legendary Arthur Adamopoulos. I don't think I have to say any more about that. He's a great man, and we had a great bunch of assistant coaches. And in my junior high years, I had Bobby Heil as my first baseball coach in an organized program, really, and it was a great experience. Over here. It's quite a picture. Well, thank you, folks. First off, I don't know if you realize this, but I'm the third police officer in a row up here, so usually you'd have to be on trial to have this happen, so it's a good night for you. I also know any person that messes up on an awards night always forgets to mention his wife or spouse. So Darlene, my beautiful and amazing wife, thank you so much for everything. You made me the man and the father that I am today. Thank you. I'd like to thank all the Hall of Fame committee and the 144 days of stress from the day that I received the envelope that I had up until this point. That was very nice. My parents, Again, both deceased can't be here tonight. I know they're here in spirit. But my dad, on my 8th birthday, took me to a baseball clinic in Lynn. It was Gilly's baseball clinic. My good buddy, Jimmy Delaney, who's here tonight. And I always felt that gave us a little bit more of an advantage because we didn't have extra innings or legends or triple or AAU, any of that stuff. So this allowed us to play all year round. We played with good competition from a young age, and we went there all the way through our teen years. So that helped quite a bit. I'll always be grateful for my dad for taking the time out for that, of course, amongst many other things. I have all my siblings here tonight, which I'm blessed by. My brother Michael traveled 500 miles to get here with his girl Chris, and I appreciate that. I appreciate him letting me follow him around as a young boy, hang with the older brother, and that had a lot to do with my success too, because it taught me how to play at a higher level at a young age. My 3 sisters, Maureen, Leanne, and Gail, 2 of whom, Leanne and Gail, are cancer defeaters. They're really the heroes in the room here. I have my in-laws with me tonight as well. Thank you for letting me join your family. And this pays off the dues of me taking your daughter off your hands by you coming here tonight too. My 3 children, Tyler, Madison, and Sean, their reactions as I told them about my induction. My daughter was, "Oh, Dad, I'm so happy for you." My son Tyler, a resounding yes in the Marv Albert competition. And then my youngest son, Sean, "For what?" was his response. So apparently I haven't bored him enough with my story, so we'll be sitting down later, Sean, and having a little talk. I was very humbled, as the other participants have said here tonight, the inductees, very humbled to be welcomed into this family, and I do consider it a family. From there, I guess I turned from humbleness to cockiness. I had all my kids change their contact numbers in their phone to HOF Dad. My wife as well, HOF husband. I was signing my citations, Hall of Fame. So, but that didn't last long. I gave that up pretty shortly, but it was a little bit of a phase. So, but when we talk about the family, I talk about my immediate family, my secondary family, which at that time I considered my teachers and my coaches, and I had some great teachers going back to junior high school, and George Lamaya and Ernie Osborne. And then I had my junior high coaches, Coach Heil, the late great Jimmy Janulis. Then into high school, it was Coach Niz, Coach Danish, Engine Joe Cronin, who was crazy as could be, but very motivational. My good friend George Goulis, who was nice enough to nominate me. George, I appreciate that very much, along with the help from Danny Hayes, Donnie Hebb. I truly appreciate your efforts to get me here. And I had the pleasure, of course, of playing for the legendary Arthur Adamopoulos. He was just, I respected him and I feared him all at once. But when the coach put his arm around you and told you everything was going to be all right, you believed it. And I'll always have a lasting memory of him. So closing out here, 2 years ago, I was out in the audience. My niece, Deanna Del Piero, was inducted. It was a great night. And at one point, I went over and sat down with my mom, and she looked at me, and only a mom can, said, "Why aren't you in this Hall of Fame?" So I laughed and told her, I said, "Well, Mom, maybe someday. We'll see what happens." So my message tonight, I guess, is, I guess the night was right, Mom, and I know you and Dad are the best seats in the house. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. Well, I've learned something this evening. There are 2 types of people you don't want to put behind a microphone and tell them 3 minutes. Coaches and police officers. I'm just kidding. A pleasure during my career as a coach alongside this gentleman, although he was in a different building. but just a great guy to be around. Mark Leonard, class of 1984, a three-sports standout in hockey, soccer, and baseball. Served as captain, received numerous All-Star Awards, Player of the Year Awards, MVP Awards, and now the head coach of our hockey team at Peabody High School. Mark Leonard, presented by Phil Sheridan.
With me right now is Mark Leonard. Mark, I know a lot of your sport history, but maybe you can help us out. Tell us, like tonight, what does tonight mean to you?
Yeah, it's a great honor. You know, a lifelong Peabody guy, center school, Higgins in the high school, and to be recognized as one of the top athletes in Peabody history is pretty special to me. A lot of great athletes here, and I'm really proud to be a part of it.
Right, now maybe some of the sports you can tell our viewers out there what sport you like the best.
Yeah, hockey was the best. You know, I also played baseball and soccer. I was a three-sport all-star, but I really concentrated on hockey towards the end, and was fortunate enough to play in college and overseas in Europe for a while.
Is there any one moment that you remember in any of the years, maybe playing for Peabody? Is there any?
Yeah, probably my sophomore year was that was like our freshman year back then. High school was only 10, 11, 12. And I had scored 4 goals in the game against Medford, and that was kind of, you know, my coming out party, and I gained a lot of confidence from that and realized I could play at that level. So,
right.
Yeah.
And how about now? What are you doing with your time now?
Well, I coach the varsity team for hockey now at Peabody High. This will be my 24th season. Had a lot of great seasons, some ups and downs, and I also own a youth hockey program called the North Shore Coyotes, and trying to instill, you know, Peabody pride to these young kids and get back the old Tanner days, you know.
Is there any part that you remember that sticks out in your head more than any other game or anything?
You know, probably, again, that Medford game, I played really well, had a great game. Also playing against some of those great Arlington teams. We all could never seem to beat them, and I believe we beat them in our junior year, which was pretty special. And just being part of the Tanner community, I had such great coaches and friends and teammates, so really pretty special.
And now in the Northeast Conference, being in that division, it seems awful different because you don't play the Medfords. Well, you played Medfords and Maldons and Somerville and all that, but these teams have come a long way also, right?
Yeah, they sure have. When we were in the GBL, coaching in the GBL, we had 3 teams that were top 5 in the state every year with Arlington, Waltham, Medford. And now the Northeast Conference every year has great teams. Danvers has great programs. Marblehead, Winthrop. So there's and I love it because there's a lot of local connections. A lot of the kids know each other. A lot of the parents know each other. So it's a great conference. I love coaching in it, and you know, I look forward to doing it for as long as I can. Yeah.
Right, and you're probably good for another 10 or 20 years, Mark.
Well, that all depends on who you ask, Lou, but I'm going to try my best to stay around, yeah.
Okay, I want to thank you for joining us tonight, and have a great night.
Thank you very much, Lou.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, thanks to the committee. It's quite an honor to be here. Thanks to George Goulas, who nominated me, as I'm sure he has a lot of other athletes. It's quite an honor to be up here. I'd like to thank, first of all, my parents, Dave and Lynn, who, like all your parents, sacrificed so much so we could be up here today. My family, my wife Colleen, my daughter Abby, who's a freshman at Peabody High on the soccer team, and my son Grady, who will be hopefully a standout on the hockey team in a few years. A few special people I want to thank sitting here. The guy who presented this award to me, Phil Sheridan, did so much for me as a coach. Bob Danish, one of the greats, one of the legends from Peabody. Another guy who's not here tonight, George Semernius. Those 3 guys taught me so much about what it meant to be from Peabody, to work hard, teammates first, and I try to instill that in my athletes today. It's hard to find Peabody pride around anymore. There's a lot of people who aren't loyal as these guys were, so I'm so glad that I have the opportunity to coach where I played. I know there's a few others in here like Betts, and that are trying to bring back that old Tanner pride. And I also do Peabody youth hockey, so I'm trying to start from young kids out. And it's really just a great honor to be up here, up here with all these other athletes tonight and in the past. So I just want to say thanks again to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Our next inductee, Sean Hayes, class of 1992, three-sport athlete, football, hockey, and lacrosse, served as captain, played center, the Super Bowl team, played goalie, the lacrosse team, set school records. I'm very jealous. I think when I met him, we were in the front of the hall tonight, he told me he just got back from the Cayman Islands, which is why he was not able to be with us yesterday. Congratulations to Sean Hayes, presented by Bob Danish.
Okay, with us right now is Sean Hayes. And Sean, I want to thank you and congratulate you on this evening. But how about tonight yourself? What do you remember most about tonight?
Well, you know, I'm really excited about tonight. I think it's a really nice recognition and accomplishment to be recognized by the high school and going into the Athletic Hall of Fame. And it's always nice to be recognized for your accomplishments and what you've done in your career.
Right. And I know you played more than one sport, but what sport do you like the most?
I'd have to say lacrosse. Lacrosse was definitely my most successful sport. I had a great 4-year career at Springfield College, and I got to play professional indoor lacrosse back when the league was called MILL, the Mill. So I think probably looking back, lacrosse is probably my most successful sport.
Right. And is there anything, any coaches or anybody in special that made you so successful?
I'd have to definitely say the two main coaches are Bob Danish, obviously the head lacrosse coach back when I played back at Peabody High, and also too Ed Nizwitowski, the football coach. I had great 4 years with him, and I got elected captain my senior year there too. But definitely Bob Danish and Ed Nizwitowski, definitely two guys that shaped my career in college sports and high school sports.
Right. Those three fellows helped an awful lot of athletes in the city of Peabody, right?
Absolutely. There's no doubt they're both legends, and I think I saw Bob Danish over there, so I'm looking forward to seeing Coach Danish. I haven't seen him since I graduated and went off to college, so I'm excited to be back.
Now, is there anything in your the past that you're hoping to use in your future?
Well, I think, I'm a college coach now. I've been a college coach for the past 22 years. And the sports that I recall on and being part of those teams is part of it shaped me being the professional I am today and being a coach I am today, no doubt.
Now, being a player and a coach for all these years, is there any one particular time you remember that comes to your mind all the time that you remember that time?
There's really two that really come to mind. One, obviously, my junior year when we won the Super Bowl versus Tewksbury, playing in Foxborough Stadium was pretty amazing. Keeping in touch with all those teammates and Russ DeRosa, who's a great friend of mine, family friend, always have those memories. And then also too with lacrosse, with Coach Danish and beating Beverly for the first time and all those different things, having success during those years were probably the best times I can recall on.
Okay, I want to thank you very much, and you've just had a great career, and you made a lot of people happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm not going to lie to you, I honestly had no clue you were supposed to talk tonight. And then when I came in, they said, you have 3 minutes to talk. And I was like, I have no clue what to say. So here we go, we'll give it a shot. I coach for a living, so I'll probably just wing this as much as I always do. But first, thank you to the committee. It's an honor. It's an honor to be associated with the rest of the inductees, so I really appreciate that. Thank Brian Vinagro, who is a childhood friend, who definitely, I know, passed my name along to nominate me, so I appreciate that. My great wife out back, who I don't know how, she's still married to me. She said, I give you 5 moves, and that's it. So I'm on my 5th move as a coach, so hopefully I can retire at University of Georgia, I wish the administration was here to hear that. I'd like to retire at the University of Georgia. A few more years left on my belt, but she's awesome. She supports me. I got 2 great daughters out back, Kaylee and Ella. They keep me young. I torture them as much as I can because I do work with college athletes, and we have a great time together. My mom and dad are here. They are fortunate enough to still live in the same childhood house that we grew up in, so I get to come back every now and then and see the hometown, so I don't get back too often. Next, I saw a couple people that I haven't seen in a long time. One was Bob Danish. A quick story. When I was going into college, I had no clue what I wanted to do. I finished playing lacrosse. He's like, hey, what do you think you want to do? I said, I think I want to play lacrosse in college. He said, well, where are you looking? I said, I don't really know, but my buddy Russ, he's in strength and conditioning, and it sounds pretty good. He's going to Springfield. And I'll never forget this. I think George Smyrnius was the AD at the time. He put his hand on my shoulder and he said, you think you're good enough to play there? And he said it in the nicest way. I don't know if you remember that. He said it in the nicest way possible. He said, they're pretty good. They're a ranked team. I don't know if you can do that. And I was like, that's a great question. I don't know. So I took an intervention, and I went there, and I was blessed to go to school with one of my best friends, Russ DeRosa. And I played 4 years. I lucked out. I won a national championship. Played in 2. We lost the second one. But because of Coach Danish, he pushed me. And it was this most subtle way of doing it. It was the most, hey, are you sure you can play at that level? And it's not like the Division I. There was Division III, but they were at the time when we looked at the pamphlet, they were ranked like 15th in the country. So I appreciate that, because from there I was blessed. I played professional lacrosse for 2 years before the team went bankrupt. And so thank you so much. You never know how much that did affect me. So thank you. I got to see Coach Holden, Coach Wlasuk coached me. Mark Bencourt was a teammate of mine who always used to yell at me because I was a center. And every time I hiked the ball, I'd stand up too quick and I'd smash his face on my rear end. So it's always great to see him and reflect on that. But thank you, everybody. It is a great honor. I can't say that enough. It's a great honor to be inducted. Thank you again. Have a great night.
Thank you, Sean. Josh Rachman, class of 1994, an outstanding 2-sport athlete in lacrosse and football. Set school records, was on numerous all-star teams, was on the team that won the Super Bowl against St. John's Prep in 1993. And Josh, thank you for your service to our country in the United States Army. Presented tonight by Bob Danish.
Now we have with us this evening Josh Rachman. And Josh, you played lacrosse and football. And first of all, tell us a little bit about your football season.
Well, we had one of the great football seasons in Peabody High history. Won the Super Bowl in '93. We went into that Super Bowl game really a heavy underdog against a nationally ranked St. John's Prep. They had a couple of folks that would go on to play in the NFL. Play at some D1 colleges, and really I think no one gave us a chance in that one except for ourselves, and we went in there, won 36-0, was one of the great upsets in Massachusetts football high school history, and it was really an honor to be part of that team, and it was a great victory for us.
I remember before they could take a deep breath, you were winning 20-0.
Yeah, it was great. We came out like gangbusters. The coaches got us prepared. I don't think I've ever watched as much game film as we did leading up to that game. And we made a lot of changes, and we made a lot of adjustments, and all my teammates, picked up on it great. The coaches came up with a great plan, and we went out there and executed, and really came out and punched them in the mouth right away.
I think that was the biggest upset in Peabody history.
I would think so. Especially with how big of an underdog we were going in. Really, nobody gave us a chance. Again, St. John's Prep was a nationally ranked team, nationally ranked high school team at that time, and we were just some public school that they had to play, and we showed them what's what.
How about lacrosse?
Lacrosse was another great sport to play, with Bob Danish as our coach. He put together a great team. We had a great group of guys. A lot of the football guys, went on to play lacrosse in the spring, so we were already a pretty tight-knit group. And that team, I think, went further than any Peabody High lacrosse team in history that same year. in the spring, and we had a good season. We ended up losing in the finals to Newton North, but we were proud of what we did, and we made our mark and broke a lot of records that year.
Right. How about right now? What are you doing now with?
Right now, I work for the Department of Defense, so I had a great career with the Army. Got a lot of training, did a lot of things, went to a lot of places, some good, some bad. And once I got out of the Army, the Department of Defense offered me a position, and just been consulting with them, doing counterterrorism for a number of years, and really enjoy it.
Okay, I want to thank you for joining us tonight, and good luck. And you did great for the Peabody High School.
Thank you. It's an honor to be in there. There's a lot of great guys in there, some of my closest friends, and looking forward to joining them. I'm going to wing it a little bit too. Jotted down some notes, but they're mostly scribbles and I can't read them now. So I brief generals on a regular basis at work now. I kind of do the same thing and just wing it. Say, something blew up, we think we're good, so let's just move on to the next target. So your tax dollars at work. Thank you to the committee, first and foremost. It's an honor to be nominated and get inducted, and even more of an honor to get in with this crew. When I saw some of the names that were getting inducted this year, I couldn't have been happier. Scott Wlasuk was a coach of mine when I played, and he's someone I've looked up to almost my whole life. His career in law enforcement is something I've tried to model, not just my Army career, but my federal career, and he's been a big inspiration to me. And Hazy, who just talked, he was a big inspiration to us young lacrosse players when we were playing. He paved the way for a lot of us. He went to a big name college. Don't let him undersell that D3. Springfield was a big time school at the time, and he paved the way for a lot of us young guys to get looks from Division I coaches and go on to play some Division I lacrosse. Me and Scott Marcoullier, we got to do that as well, so thank you, Hazy, for that. And just overall, it's a great crew, so thank you, committee. It's an honor. Thank my family, first and foremost. My parents, always there for me, always had the time to take me to these sports and buy me equipment and have good health insurance. So they put up with a son that only liked playing contact sports, and then after school went on to a full contact professional career. So thank you for that, guys. Scott Marcoullier, my best friend since 5th grade, and I'm very biased, but I think he's the GOAT. So probably the greatest athlete to ever play at Peabody High. He pushed me every day that we've known each other. Even if I didn't realize he was doing it, he kept pushing me, and whether it was playing Division I or joining the Army or playing pro lacrosse, he was always there in my corner. And no matter how long I disappeared for work, whenever I came back, he always treated me like I'd been back in Peabody every day of my life. So thank you, Scott, for that. And my coaches. So I couldn't be happier to see almost all my coaches here tonight. It was really a big surprise. Coach Haggy, again, Coach Wlasuk, Coach Holden, Coach Bua, especially Coach Danish. The impact you guys have had on me for the past 20 years of my career has been unbelievable. When I first joined the Army, I went in completely cold. I'd never fired a weapon in my life, other than a couple BB guns Scott and I shot at each other when we were idiot little kids. But I'd never fired a weapon in my life, never done ROTC. I thought I was going to be a terrible soldier. And I went into basic training, and one of the first weeks there, they said, all right, we're going to go over this obstacle course. We're going to crawl through the mud, we're going to run through this, we're going to climb that, we're going to jump into this, then we're going to hit you with these things. And everyone else took a step back, and I took a step forward. And the drill sergeants kind of looked at me like, what's wrong with you? I said, well, I guess you guys didn't play at Peabody High. and that was sort of the theme my whole career. I was lucky enough to graduate first in my class in basic, distinguished honor grad. And the drill sergeants pulled me aside and said, you got through this pretty easy. I mean, when we saw it was a little bit too easy on you, we would abuse the heck out of you, both physically and verbally. I said, oh, verbally? Well, you guys didn't play for Coach Holden. I was actually a little disappointed in my drill sergeants. It's like, that's all you got? But that was a theme the whole way. Every time the Army, the U.S. government threw something more at me, whether it was Ranger School, SEER School, going on to do agent work with the DOD, and just some of the things I had to get through overseas, whether it was whatever third world country that we're in that year, everything I went through and everything I had to grind through, I owe it to the qualities that Coach Holden, Coach Danish, all my other coaches instilled in me. Not just the physical and mental toughness, but how to take care of the guys to the left and the right of me. And that was really the biggest thing when we went overseas. People get confused. They think we deploy and we go over there and we raise our hand and we volunteer because we like it or we're seeking a thrill. But really, we look to the guys to the left and right of us and say, I can't let you go out there without me. I have to be there for you. And that's something the coaches did for us, and that they instilled that to us. And I can honestly say, with some of the things I saw and I've done, I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for the coaches at Peabody High and playing Peabody High athletics. So thank you guys for that. Thank you, committee. Thank you.
Our next inductee, let me put this up here where I can see it. Class of 1997, Tracey McKean Palazzola, a two-time basketball captain and soccer captain, Greater Boston League champion, an MVP, an all-star, and an outstanding javelin thrower for the track team. Tracey is now the assistant basketball coach at Peabody High School. Her award is presented by Kathy Strange.
With me now is Tracey McKean, and Tracey, we go way back, but you were just a great basketball player. That's what I remember most of you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Basketball was probably my best sport, and yeah, I played on some really good teams. We had some really good seasons.
Right. Now, is there anything you remember from basketball or that sticks out in your mind?
I do. I mean, you know, we won 3 league championships in my 4 years, which was a testament to the players that I played with and the coaches that I had. But I do remember one game when my sophomore year, we played Waltham, because we were back in the Greater Boston League then. We were at Waltham, and I shot like 1 for 19, and we got blown out, and it was awful, and I felt awful. And when they came back to Peabody, I had been practicing, and I felt like I really had let my team down. So that game when we were back in Peabody, I scored 25 points, 5 for 5 from three-point land, 7, assists, 6 steals, and it was like redemption. And I felt like I really kind of came into my own in that game. And that was a really talented team that I played on that year. Julie Betancourt, Lee Carpenter, you remember those names. Yeah.
They were really great teams and great players, but maybe what does tonight mean to you with all those players and names that you just mentioned?
I mean, it's really an honor to be here. You know, when I was in high school, school was always first, and then athletics. But I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into all those seasons with soccer and basketball and track. And to be kind of validated and be here tonight to know that my contributions to those teams really mattered, and they helped us achieve what we achieved, it's really humbling. It really is.
Is there anything you remember right now that dates you back to those teams?
Well, having Coach Heil here, and Bob Heil and Coach Sheridan really brings me back to my days at the high school. And then, yesterday being up there for the Thanksgiving Day game, and my whole family got to come out in the field, and my 3 little girls thought it was the greatest thing. It was really a special moment. It really made me feel good.
We've come a long way with that field, haven't we?
Oh my God, I know. And even the we never had lights up at the soccer field when I played. I think it was the following year after I graduated. They put lights in, and then you've got the turf field. It's beautiful. They've done a really nice job there with the facility.
Okay, I want to thank you for dropping by, and good luck tonight, and good luck in the rest of your career.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear. Good luck.
So, first of all, I just want to say, can we give a round of applause for Josh, because his service to this country is amazing. Amazing, right? Those are the real heroes, right? not the athletes, people that fight for our country every day. So for those of you that know my father, Stan McKean, you know that if he was only given 3 minutes for an acceptance speech, he would not accept. However, 3 minutes works for me. First off, I would like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this honor. I'm truly humbled. I would also like to congratulate the other inductees on their amazing accomplishments. And I also want to thank my guests who took time out of their busy schedules to be here tonight. Mom and Dad, my 2 brothers, Tim and Mark, my wonderful husband, Michael, my sister-in-law, Courtney, who I think was as excited about tonight as I was, and last, but certainly not last, my best friend of 25 years, Allison. Allie and I's friendship began freshman year of high school on the soccer field. We were co-captains of the soccer team our senior year, and she's always been one of my biggest fans. During my 4 years at Peabody High School, I was extremely fortunate. I think a lot of my individual successes can be attributed to playing alongside some very talented athletes, as well as playing for some extremely successful coaches. I would like to specifically thank Bob and Jane Heil and Coach Sheridan, who conveniently, 2 of those 3 are on the Hall of Fame committee. But in all seriousness, when you play for coaches who have such a high standard of success, it motivates you as an athlete. You want to prove to them every day that you deserve to be part of their program and that you can maintain or even elevate that level of success. You strive to wow them with your work ethic and your ability to continue to develop and improve on a daily basis. Thank you both. But the main reason I am standing up here today is because of my family. Mom, Dad, Tim, and Mark, the amount of love and support you have provided me throughout my life has been a blessing and has been instrumental in any success or achievements I've accomplished. Whether it was my dad coming home from work, and regardless of how tired he was, taking me outside to play catch or kick the soccer ball around, or my mother leaving work to make sure I had a ride to practice or attend all of my games home and away, or my younger brother Mark sitting up in the basketball stands keeping all of my stats in his head during each game, or my brother Tim leaving Boston University on a weeknight to come home and watch a game and then head back to school the same night. You guys have always had my back. I can't imagine where I would be without you all. I love you guys. I've come full circle now as I have the privilege of coaching basketball at Peabody High School alongside my dad, which is awesome. I'm only able to do this because of my husband. When basketball season starts on Monday, Mike will basically be a single dad again. And instead of just 2 little girls to take care of, you now have 3. Good luck, Mike. You're gonna need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracey. Such a nice smile, Gary. Our next inductee, I don't think you've stopped smiling yet. Our next inductee is Gary Palmieri Jr., class of 2002. He's a 3-sport standout in baseball, football, and hockey, a captain in football, 2-time Greater Boston League All-Star, 2 walk-off home runs to win league titles, scored a game-winning overtime goal in hockey. Our next inductee, Gary Palmieri, presented by K. Ellen DeMoore.
With me right now is Gary Palmieri, and Gary, just a great athlete coming out of Peabody, but what does this evening mean to you?
It's a great honor. I'm really proud. It's a reflection of hard work and my parents doing a great job. I really owe it all to them. Yeah, they let us, they let us play whatever we wanted growing up, and we tried all different sports, and whatever stuck is what we went with. So that's.
Well, it looked like all the sports stuck with you. But let me ask you, what do you remember most of out of all the sports? What is your biggest thrill?
My biggest thrill was getting to play with my brother every season. He played football, hockey, baseball, same 3 sports as me. We got to play together for 3 years, so 9 seasons of sports together in high school. I was a year ahead of him, and just getting to play with him, especially my senior year in hockey, we played on the same line together, and that was probably the best time.
Besides that being the best sport, did you separate any of the sports that you liked more than the other?
Well, people always ask me what was the funnest sport to play in. I say there's nothing like one of the big Friday night football games, with 5,000 people in front of Everett, playing Everett at home. But my favorite sport to play would be hockey.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's probably the fastest sport, but that was my favorite sport too, but I couldn't skate.
That's a big part, yeah.
Right. Let me ask you, what do you do now for your time?
I teach middle school physical education in Revere. I've been there 10 years. I love it. The kids are great. And like I said, I've been there 10 years, and I love what I do.
Do you get any pressure from the kids as you come from Peabody?
A few of them give me a hard time, but it's not as bad as the old GBL when there was a rivalry. But yeah, a few of them give me a hard time. Yeah.
It's pretty hard to bring back the GBL days because those were some great games and great teams.
Yeah, we had some great competition. Every season there was, a different rival that we would face, and it was a great time, a lot of fun.
Do you remember any one game or any one team that you enjoyed playing?
Like I mentioned before, in football it was always Everett, and then in hockey, they weren't in the GBL, but Bishop Fenwick was our crosstown rival. So in the Carlin Cup, we always loved that. And then one of my most favorite moments during my career was in a state tournament game. We played Bishop Fenwick, and I scored the overtime game winner. So that was
a great way to end it, right?
Yeah, it was great. That was probably one of my favorite moments.
How about your family and what's
Sure, yeah. My wife, Kim, I've been married to her for 6 years now. I better get that right. And then we have 3 beautiful daughters. Olivia's my oldest. She's 6. She's in school in Peabody in 1st grade. And then my middle daughter's Lucia. She's 3 years old. And we just had another girl. Her name's Bobby, and she's 3 months old.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us, and we'll always remember you, Gary. Okay.
Thank you very much, Lou. All right, I'm somewhere in the middle, not too long, not too short. First off, I'd like to start by thanking the Hall of Fame committee for my induction here tonight. Specifically, George Goulas for the nomination. George has been a family friend for years, and as we all know, he's followed and been one of the biggest and best supporters of Peabody athletics for a long time. I would also like to thank all my family members who have joined me tonight in this wonderful celebration, especially my wife Kim for braving the cold and attending with our 3 crazy but beautiful daughters, Olivia, Lucia, and Bobby. Hi, girls. Tonight is a great night for all the inductees, including myself. But I really want to recognize the people who got me here and my biggest supporters throughout my career, my parents, Gary and Cheryl. I'm the oldest of 4, and raising 4 kids is not easy. Being a father of my own 3 kids, I can now truly appreciate the time and effort my parents put into raising us the right way. Setting a great example and providing all 4 of us the path to success, not only on the playing field, but even now in our personal and professional lives. As young kids playing 2, sometimes 3 sports in a single season, my parents never stopped. They would be continuously running from the field or the rink and even the basketball court. They never complained and were always willing to allow us to try and play any sport or activity that we were interested in. The only stipulation was that if you started something, you had to finish it for that season a year. And then if you wanted to move on and do something else, it was fine. This was important because by not allowing us to walk away from a sport, instrument, or any activity just because it was hard or we didn't like it, my parents were instilling in all of us the qualities of integrity and commitment, even from a young age. From Little League through college, my parents never missed a game. My father was always willing to help out and coach in any sport we played, whether it was hockey, baseball, basketball, or lacrosse. And after every game, he would give his honest opinion of how I played that game, or any of us. When I had a bad game, he told me what I could do better or work on for the next time. And when I had a good game, he would let me know that as well. Even though I may not have agreed with his constructive criticism, as he called it sometimes, he was making me a better player because of this. This type of personal philosophy has really stuck with me. And still to this day, I look to my father for advice. So Mom and Dad, thanks for doing such a great job in raising all of us. A couple of other people who are my biggest fans that I would like to mention are my sisters, Tony and Callie. They were younger, and I'm not sure if they had any choice to be there, but I think they really did love to come and support their older brothers in whatever we did. I had some really great personal athletic moments in my career that most kids would dream about. Scoring the overtime goal to win a state tournament game in hockey against our crosstown rivals, Bishop Fenwick. Walk-off home runs my junior and senior year to win the GBL title in baseball, or the sacks and fumble recoveries against #1 ranked Everett in our famous 6-0 win at home my junior year. But the most important achievements and accomplishments were the team championships. Being a 3-sport athlete all 4 years of high school, the teams I played on were fortunate enough to win 7 league titles. This is a testament to how good my teammates as well as my coaches were. In fact, 2 of my former coaches were already inducted here tonight alongside me, Coach Wlasuk and Coach Leonard. Congratulations. The last thing I want to talk about is the thing I enjoyed the most and will always remember, which was that right alongside me for all those events was my brother Anthony. Only a year apart, we grew up playing on a lot of the same teams. And when we got to high school, that held true. Sure, he might have been the one who played the fancy positions of quarterback and pitcher, might have been the smoother skater, but I was the one in the trenches as a lineman in football or in the corners digging out the puck as a wing, but we complemented each other well. My senior year of hockey was the best. Right before the season started, Anthony and I went to Coach Leonard and told him we wanted to play on the same line, seeing as it was probably our last time being together on the same team. It was during this conversation that I made Coach Leonard a guarantee that if he stuck with us for the whole season playing together, Anthony and I would finish as his leading scorers that year. It was probably the most confident or cockiest thing I had ever said to a coach, but I needed to convince him. Sure enough, at the end of that season, not only did we lead the team in scoring, but if memory serves me correct, we ended up 1 and 2 in the GBL as scoring leaders. Coach Leonard, no hard feelings, but if you had used me on the power play that year, I would have beat him as a scoring leader. Thank you all and have a great night.
Thank you, Gary. This probably applies to almost everybody or everybody. When you come up here to speak, raise the microphone back up, because I was here before you. And yes, I am standing. Our next inductee, class of 2004, Jocelyn Sullivan, a 3-sport captain in field hockey, swimming, and lacrosse, an outstanding goalie in field hockey and lacrosse. Lorraine Benoit, who was the field hockey coach for more years than I can certainly remember, says Jocelyn was the best goalie she ever had. She set records in field hockey. Records is a lacrosse goalie, first goalie ever to have an undefeated season. She's a Greater Boston League All-Star and an MVP. Congratulations to Jocelyn. Plaque presented by Kathy Strange.
Is there anything special that you know about tonight that makes this such a great night for you?
I'm really honored to have been selected. I wasn't expecting it, but I think it's a great legacy to leave behind for my kids as I get older for them to see.
Right, and it'll be a long night to remember also.
Yes.
Is there any special thing that you remember about, not only, so what's this mean to you getting into the Hall of Fame?
I'm just really excited. As I said, I wasn't expecting it. I'm honored to have been selected. It really brought back a lot of great memories to think of all the teams that I played on, all the coaches I played with, and all the friends that I made over the years.
Now, speaking about the memories, is there any memory that you remember in any one given game?
There were lots of great games. My senior year, we were undefeated our regular season for lacrosse. That was really exciting and fun, but we were really crushing some teams. We played one game against Medford. That was really fun, but it broke out into a fight because we were winning by so much. So that was kind of a memory that stands out, yeah.
How about your coaches and your mentors, whoever helped you out during your career?
Yeah, I had some really great coaches. Coach Hayes was by far the most passionate coach I've ever worked with. He really had such a passion for lacrosse. My freshman year was my first time ever playing lacrosse, and seeing him talk about the game, I just fell in love. And Coach Martino was also one of my great coaches. He worked with me one-on-one as my goalie coach, essentially. Lots of times we'd practice a lot before the games, and he was great.
Right. And how about your future right now? Is there anything Would you like to let the people know what you're doing?
So right now I'm actually an assistant principal at the South Memorial Elementary School in Peabody. I'm married to someone from Peabody who also went through Peabody High School. He's a police officer in Peabody. And we have 2 children that we're raising in Peabody, so they'll go through the schools too, and hopefully they'll play some sports.
So we're really still all close to Peabody,
Yes,
which is
we
great.
are. Yep.
I want to thank you very much and good luck in your future.
Thank you so much. Hi. If I was coming up here to talk about the power of Google or special ed law, I could talk for an hour or 2. But talking about myself is pretty uncomfortable, so I want to talk about the people who helped get me here instead. Tim, Mom, Dad, Christine, Steve, you made it in. Brittany, Nelson, you're the most incredible support system someone could have. Thank you. I love you. My parents are immigrants from small islands west of Portugal called the Azores. Life was a little bit different there, like no refrigerators, no TVs, it's crazy. So they didn't have the opportunity to play organized sports, or any sports at all for that matter, because they had to work instead. But they made sure that my sisters and I were able to play any sport we wanted, paying for playing fees, equipment, and making sure we got to and from every game and practice. They made sure we had every opportunity to pursue our dreams, sports related or not. Thank you. Oh, my dad's crying. I can't even look over there. All right. My sisters. My older sister, Christine, who I copied at everything. Thanks for showing me that field hockey is awesome. To my younger sister, Brittany, who followed in many of my footsteps, but always tried to one-up me. Top this, Britt. My husband, Tim. I didn't know him when all this took place, although I've heard he's pretty good at football. But I know he would have supported me back then, like he always does now. To my field hockey and lacrosse coaches, Lorraine Benoit, Dean Martino, and Dan Hayes, in particular Coach Hayes, thank you for this nomination and for putting up with me as a sassy teenager. I'll never forget the time I called him Hayes instead of Coach Hayes. His response was, "Start running." I have no idea how many times I ran around the student parking lot that day, but I really think he forgot he told me to start running. I think it was like the rest of practice. Coach Martino, thanks for turning us around in that Wakefield win in the rain in '03, but pretty much for being my personal goalie coach before every game. Thank you. I don't remember any of my stats. They didn't really matter to me. I just liked winning, like most of the people here. But lucky for me, Coach Hayes has an incredible memory, and he remembered everything. Everything. I was a 3-sport athlete and captain, lacrosse and field hockey MVP. I was a team all-star, field hockey and lacrosse 2 years in a row. I still hold several records for my accomplishments as a goalie in field hockey and lacrosse. I didn't recall any of those stats, but I have many, many incredible memories of camaraderie among teammates who became friends. Looking back at some old photos brought back some really great memories. I also learned the bandana I wore under my helmet did not look as cool as I thought it did. It was not a good look. But overall, playing sports taught me so many things about teamwork, perseverance, patience, and the value of hard work. I feel very lucky to be a part of the Peabody community as a former student, athlete, coach, teacher, and now administrator and parent. I look forward to continuing to give back to the community that's given me so much and watching my 2 young children, Lillian and Jonathan, pursue their interests and dreams. Congratulations to all my fellow inductees. Go Tanners.
Seriously? Thank you, Jocelyn. Our next inductee is Heather Popp, Shamana, class of 2005, a 4-year varsity lacrosse player and 2-year captain, graduated with numerous scoring records. Was Global Scholastic, captained her soccer team, and was Athlete of the Year. Her plaque is presented by Gary Boer.
Now, a little bit about your past history. What do you remember the most in your sports?
I think the biggest thing is that a real sense of team and community, you know, with all the teams that I participated in. And I think that I've carried that with me throughout my life, and I really loved being part of a team. And I think that it's helped mold the person I am today.
Is there any special one moment that you remember on any team?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many great moments through the lacrosse program, but I think that the memory that sticks out in my mind is the first varsity lacrosse game that I was pulled up to. So Coach Hayes pulled me up to the game as a freshman, and there was 13 seconds left, and he knew that they were going to win the game, so he emptied out the bench and said, okay, everybody go in. And I was a freshman. It was the first time I've ever really played lacrosse. The first time I picked up a lacrosse stick was freshman year, and I was in the game. There was 13 seconds left, and Maggie Driscoll threw me a pass, and I scored a goal. And I think that's what really sparked my love for lacrosse.
Right. Now, how about your coaches and probably your family also? What do you remember most about them and how they help you?
Yeah. So I'm so thankful to my family. My mom and dad have supported me throughout so many years, probably since I was 3 or 4, started putting me in sports, and were at all my games and all my practices, cheering me on, sharing in my ups and downs, and I am so thankful for that. And I've really been fortunate enough to have some really great coaches, especially Coach Hayes and Coach Martino.
Right. And they were great coaches, and they did a good job for Peabody.
Yes, they did. I think those two really built up the women's lacrosse program because it was brand new, you know, my freshman year. So what Coach Hayes did was he went around and kind of recruited girls. He found a bunch of athletic girls from different sports, pulled them all together, and created a team. And we were really successful because of that.
Right. And that was great. And I just want to congratulate you on making this Hall of Fame. And it's just a great night for you. And what do you remember most about this night? Or what will you remember most?
I think that what I'm going to remember most is I just had a baby. She's 3 weeks old.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And I just am so proud of her already. And I am just hoping that someday, you know, we can support her the way that my family and my parents have supported me.
Those are very good thoughts, and I want to congratulate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to first say thank you to the Hall of Fame committee. What an honor it is to be inducted to the Peabody High Hall of Fame along with all of these great athletes and coaches. This night represents some of the greatest moments of my high school athletic career, and I'm so appreciative to be inducted in a way of honoring those memories. I've been lucky enough to be involved with sports from a very young age, and my participation in these sports has molded me into the person I am today. Being a part of these sports has taught me invaluable life skills: how to work in a team, how to fail, and how to persevere. I was lucky enough to be recruited by Coach Hayes at a junior varsity soccer game. He saw me playing soccer, and he approached my dad on the sideline, and he said, "I think your daughter would be a really good lacrosse player." I'm pretty sure that my dad went out and bought me a lacrosse stick that same day. But I am eternally grateful for him. He did the same thing with other athletes, and in doing so, he created a formidable team of multi-sport athletes. Reflecting back on our seasons, it was amazing to think of the successes that our team had when none of us had ever picked up a lacrosse stick before that year. We dominated many teams who had developed youth lacrosse programs and athletes that had been playing for many years. And we definitely pissed them off a little bit. They hated losing to a brand new program. Many of our successes can be attributed to the knowledge and dedication of Coach Hayes and Coach Martino. Without them, we wouldn't have had the success that we did. Thank you both so much. Lastly, I would like to thank my parents, my brother Randy, my husband Mike. They're all here tonight supporting me with my 3-week-old baby daughter, Reese. My mom and dad have been my biggest supporters and #1 fans from day one. Their dedication and support was unwavering, and I consider myself lucky to have been afforded the opportunities that they provided me. My husband and I had a baby girl 3 weeks ago, and I hope that we can provide her with the same love and support in whatever activities she chooses to pursue. I will say, though, that she's already showing some pretty good hand-eye coordination, so lacrosse might be in her future. Thank you again for honoring me tonight. It is truly a night I will never forget.
Thank you, Heather. So I hope we're confusing you by going from one page to the other, because it's confusing me a little bit. I guess we did it yesterday at the game too, graduated in the same year. Our next inductee is Lauren Orlando LaTorella, class of 2005. She was a starter on the basketball team for 4 years. I remember every one of them. She was an outstanding player. She was captain of both her basketball and volleyball teams. She received numerous honors, MVP awards, Player of the Year awards, and all scholastic awards. It gives me great pride, Lauren, to have you come up here tonight and receive this award given to you by Matt Williams.
Laura, what does tonight mean to you?
It's just such a great honor to be here tonight and, kind of be recognized for all the hard work that you put in throughout the years. And you always dream of a moment like this, and, it's a dream come true, I guess.
Right. And I'm sure basketball is one of your favorite sports, if not the sport.
Right, yeah. I played basketball and volleyball in high school and then went on to play college basketball. So it's always been a passion of mine and something that I'll always love for the rest of my life.
Right. What do you remember most in all the sports you played?
Being able to go to the Songus Arena my senior year on the basketball team. We went to the game right before the championship game, so that will always be a moment that I'll never forget.
Right, and what I remember most is you just never reached 1,000 points. Just a few baskets off, and they couldn't keep you in there.
I know it. I think I was 14 points shy. It's something that I'll never be able to get back, the 1,000 points, but a lot of the teammates needed to play during the time, and I sat out a lot of those games. So, I feel like I reached that point in my career, and I may be short, but I feel like it's something that I'm happy about.
Well, I'll always remember those years because of the fact that I swore that you were going to get the 1,000 points, and me and your family were really rooting for you.
Yeah, I thought so too, but, that's the past life, but it's something that I'm very proud of, my career.
Is there anything you can remember now that brings back memories of your past?
Just playing high school sports and having that pride in being a Peabody Tanner, that's something I'll always remember.
Right. How about now? What are you doing now? I know you were coaching for a while, and we thought you were going to end up being our coach, but you never made that far.
So I coached a few years after college, helped Jane out, and I went to nursing school. I'm a registered nurse in the operating room. I have 3 children under the age of 5, 2 boys and a girl. So life's a little busy, but someday I hope to get back to coaching.
Right. That's a great family you have there. I know you get in contact with your father all the time. He's always talking about his grandchildren now. So I want to congratulate you for tonight and have a good night.
Thank you so much.
I'm truly honored to be standing here tonight as an inductee into the PVMHS Athletic Hall of Fame. I want to start by thanking everyone who's made this night possible. I would like to thank my family and friends for supporting me through my career, especially my mom and dad, who are truly my biggest fans. You traveled near and far to watch my games in high school and throughout my career at Brandeis University. Thank you to my husband, Dan, for supporting and being by my side since high school. From a young age, playing sports has shaped my life, and each team I played for has had an impact on the person I am today. Teamwork, dedication, work ethic, and values that I've learned on the court and carried with me into my career as a registered nurse. In the moment, the games we play are about making the next shot and winning the next game. But it's experiences, coaches, teamwork that create memories that last a lifetime. Every time I walk into the field house and see my varsity years printed under women's basketball and volleyball, brings those memories back to life. I could not be prouder to wear a Tanner's uniform in those years. I want to close by saying thank you to Coach Heil. You are one of the strongest women I know and an inspiration to the girls you coach. You taught me to be strong, to fight, and to never give up, and the true meaning of being part of a team, or as you called it, a family. Thank you again for recognizing me tonight. I'm honored.
So you keep flipping pages on me, you did it again. Our next inductee is Kyle Multer, class of 2007, one of the best two-way baseball players at Peabody High School, MVP of the Greater Boston League, hit .486 in the wooden bat era in the GBL and led the league and the state. He's captain a GBL championship team. He's an All-Scholastic in the Globe and Herald. In basketball, he scored 960 points, was a two-time league All-Star and MVP. Kyle's plaque this evening is presented by former Hall of Famer, Phil Mitchell.
With me now is Kyle Multer. Kyle, a little bit about tonight. What are you thinking about tonight, and how is it going for you?
You know, I'm just trying to slow things down. I'm just trying to enjoy the night, enjoy the experience, and really just kind of soak it all in and enjoy it.
And I know you played more than one sport, but what sport do you like the best?
I'd say baseball. You know,
and you were a great baseball player.
Yeah, I tried. We had some good teams, some good teammates. So, you know.
Is there any one game or one moment that you remember in sports that reflects back to you today?
Yeah, you know what? I think about the last game, my last career game we had in the North Finals against Lincoln Sudbury a lot, and I think it was our best, well-rounded game we've played as a team, and we came up short that day. But you know what? I think about that game a lot.
Right. And some of those games that you might remember winning a game, but it's hard when you play a great game and you don't win it.
Oh, definitely. The losing hurt a lot. Right. It kind of stayed with you, and we talk a lot, my ex-teammates, and we talk about that game and stuff like that, and just brings back some great memories. And we graduated that day too, so it wasn't all bad.
And that was a tough game to go from the graduation to a tournament game.
Oh, definitely. Right. From highs to probably the lowest in my high school career, I felt, so. Right. But it was great. We had a great run. We had, great teammates, great team, so.
Is there anyone great that you remember? Any particular players or coaches?
Possibly your last.
We had all great coaches my whole career. Through basketball, Chris Estrangelo, and then Mark Betancourt through baseball. We had great guys. They let us have a little more freedom. Because we were a great team. So.
All right, I want to thank you very much because we're running out of time here. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Just want to thank the committee for this award, especially John Goulas, and congrats to all the inductees. Honored and humbled. Thank you all the coaches, Coach Betts, Coach Niz, Mr. Angelo, Riggs, Giatti, Michael Bryan. Thank you all my teammates, Eddie, Coop, Brad, Raya, Andrew, Mikey, D-Mel, G. Love you guys. My grandparents, John A. Dowd. Siblings, Kelly Cole, Neutron. My father, Phil. Taught me how to play the game. Taught me to be a great father. I love you. My mother, where I get all my athletic ability from. You're my #1 fan. Thank you for everything you've done for me. I love you. My wife, Susie. Thank you for being there through high school and college. Sitting through all those E10 games and everything. Maybe Charlie Rose too. I love you. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Kyle, and thank you, Lauren. I was just trying to hold it together when I got up here. Which reminds me, looking at the younger crowd coming up now, because my memory is better with the younger ones, but they all come up here and they thank their parents. And as a coach, and many of us coaches know, that part of the success is what they've instilled in their children, but many of you have served as boosters. And it's a thankless job, so thank you to the many parents out there that have served as boosters over the years. It's probably wrong. Our next inductee, Eddie Leonard, class of 2007. 3 sports standout in basketball, lacrosse, and football. An all-star and captain. Greater Boston League all-star. Led the team in scoring. Was a 1,000-point scorer for the basketball team. 100 points in one season for the lacrosse team. MVP, all-scholastic, all-American. Eddie Leonard's award being presented this evening by Gary Linehan.
Right now we have Eddie Leonard, and Eddie, first of all, maybe a little bit about yourself, and not only so much what you're doing now, but what did you enjoy most going to Peabody?
I have to say athletics. I enjoyed all 3 sports I played, football, basketball, and lacrosse, and all the coaches and teammates I had playing those sports.
Right. Is there any special moment that you remember on any particular game?
I'd have to say the one special moment would be my senior year basketball game against Medford, I believe, when I scored my 1,000th point. My whole family was there, and after the game we took a family picture in the crowd, and I still have it hanging on my wall today. I appreciate it. All right, good evening. I'll keep this short and sweet. First and foremost, I want to thank my parents. Without them, I wouldn't be standing here before you. Mom and Dad, you've been there since day one of my athletic career, and you've been my 2 biggest fans throughout. I can't thank you enough. Next, I would like to thank my wife, Jody. Not Judy, Jody. Thank you for being patient and understanding with my numerous activities that I still participate in, whether it's basketball, snowboarding, or hunting, which is your favorite. I'm so very grateful. I also need to thank the rest of my family, many of them here tonight. Thank you to my sister Sandy, my grandparents, Grammy's here tonight, my aunts, uncles, cousins, and my in-laws. And then on to my coaches. Coaches have always had a great influence on me. And I would like to thank a couple coaches from pre-high school. Coach Devereaux, Coach Jenkins, and Coach Serino, who guided me to what I accomplished in my high school career. And then to start things off, for high school coaches, I want to thank Coach Niz for introducing me to football and throwing me out on the field, especially against Everett, my first start. And the rest of all my high school football coaches, there was many of them. And then my basketball coaches, Coach Mastrangelo and Coach Coleman, thank you for 4 great and successful seasons. And to my lacrosse coaches, Coach Holden, Coach Tony, and Coach Marculia. You opened my eyes to the sport I would cherish most by the end of my high school career. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Gary Lenahan and the rest of the Hall of Fame committee for considering my nomination. Thank you. And finally, to my friends who are in the audience tonight, whether it's a teammate or a neighborhood buddy, on the practice field or in somebody's backyard, you always push me to be better on and off the field. Thank you.
Okay, if I haven't flipped too many pages and get lost, last but not least, Michelle Grifoni, class of 2003, another standout 3-sport athlete and captain. Her sports were volleyball, basketball, and softball. She batted .544, was MVP of her softball team and GBL All-Star, numerous All-Stars on the North Shore, and Globe and Herald All-Scholastic, as well as Female Athlete of the Year. Michelle Grifoni, class of 2008, presented by her coach, Jane Hart.
With me now is Michelle Grifoni. And Michelle, we go way back, and I remember you and all those great shots you made. It was great. But maybe a little bit about yourself. Really, what sport did you enjoy the most?
Which sport did I enjoy the most? I loved them all. I'd probably say I lean more towards softball. Played softball in college, grew up playing softball, so that's probably my favorite out of all of them.
And right now, aren't you coaching softball at all?
I was doing some volunteer coaching with Coach Butch for a few years, but then I went back to school and it was too hard to do both. So not coaching at the moment, but I'm still playing rec league softball.
Right.
Yeah.
Between basketball and softball, what moment do you remember the most?
Between basketball and softball, the most memorable moment, I'd probably have to say the Courtney Corning tournament. Our senior year, we won that tournament for Courtney, and as many know, Courtney was a teammate of mine, and sadly lost her life way before her time, but it was really memorable to do that for her.
Right. And how about your family right now? I know you have a family, so coming, one or the other.
Well, I just got married this past summer. Right. No kids or anything like that yet, but yeah, so we're just starting our family this summer.
And your husband?
My husband's Ian Flanagan. Right. He's here with us tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
And your father and mother are still, he's still helping us out too.
Yeah, my dad's always staying active. He was coaching the softball team for many years with Butch, and he was doing the announcing and everything like that. Yeah, he stays active.
Is there any great moment that you remember in any of the sports you played?
Yeah, so in softball, another moment I'd say was our sophomore year. We made it to Division I North Finals. We were known as the comeback kids. We had a very scrappy team. And unfortunately, we didn't win the finals, but it was really memorable to be in Lowell. It was a nice experience.
Right.
Yeah.
How about as far as your father coaching you all the time too? Is there any one player or coach that helped you out?
Yeah, they were all great, but maybe Coach Butch I grew the closest with. He helped me through my softball career. I ended up coaching with him, volunteer coaching with him. He comes to my rec softball league games, and he actually came to my wedding this past summer, him and his wife. Yeah.
All right. I want to congratulate you very much, and good luck with whatever you may do in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you. I'll make this quick. I know you guys are probably tired. It's quite an honor to be up here being inducted to the Peabody High Hall of Fame along with so many talented athletes and coaches. I'd like to thank my head coaches and assistant coaches, specifically volleyball coach, Coach Keene, basketball coach, Coach Heil, softball coach, Coach Butch. I'd like to thank my softball coach, Butch, for nominating me for this great opportunity, and the Hall of Fame committee for selecting me for this great opportunity. It's definitely a memory to remember. I'd like to thank all my family, my husband, for all their continuous love and support, specifically my parents for all their countless hours practicing since I was very young. They've come to almost every single game and sporting event since I was very little through college, and even in rec league now since old women's league. I've always believed playing sports is a privilege. Playing on a sports team has taught me many life lessons that I'll carry on with me throughout my life. It's allowed me to develop leadership skills, time management, sportsmanship, and the responsibility of having a commitment. It taught me to become a team player, not only in sports, but also in my community and career. Playing sports has had such a positive aspect in my life. It's created memories and friendships that will last a lifetime. And to be standing up here inducted to the Hall of Fame is really something to remember for always. And I want to congratulate all the other inductees. And having this night, the dinner was great. It was a really nice celebration. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. Just a few words in closing, and committee members, if you think of anything that I've forgotten, please jump up here and tell me. Our next Hall of Fame will be in 2 years, 2020, right here at the Danversport waterfront. Please remember this place. They are wonderful. They have been incredibly good to us. Please remember the sponsors in the back of our book, because the best way to thank them is to, if you use them, to tell them that that's where you saw the ad. Please keep in mind that the Hall of Fame only exists because people recognize and remember the great athletes that go through Peabody High School, but we count on you to make the nominations. We won't be accepting nominations until a year from now because it skips a year, but you will contact the athletic office at that time. Hopefully the Salem News will run an ad at that time that nominations are being accepted. You need to back up your information. You just can't nominate someone because you liked them. You need to tell us what their address is, what their phone number is, some statistical information about what they've done. And that would make our work a whole lot easier. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Please be safe on your way home. Godspeed.